Hey people, this is my video rundown of things in entertainment news that interested me this past week. There were a lot of movie trailers that came out this week, so I'm going to get things started with the two most significant.
Let's get things started with The Dark Knight Rises. I'm not going to talk very much about this trailer because I already made an extensive video analysis of The Dark Knight Rises trailer, so please check that out if you're interested in hearing about my thoughts on the trailer. But to give a bit of my opinions on the trailer, I'm really not very sure at this point how I feel about the movie. Up until now, there have been a lot of things that have come out concerning the movie that have had me pretty concerned. So I really wanted this trailer to make me very sure that this was going to be the movie that I want to see. And the trailer didn't really do that for me. Some of the things that I'm concerned about that I saw in the trailer, the kind of special effects heavy football arena sequence had me a little bit concerned, as well as the bat plane and the big action sequence. It just doesn't really seem to fit in with the tone established by the first two movies, the way that things are looking for this movie. But I am pretty sure that it's going to be a good movie. I'm just kind of worried, will it be the fitting end that I want to see for this trilogy? The other really big trailer that came out over the past week was the Hobbit trailer. I enjoyed this quite a bit. I'm not a huge fan of The Lord of the Rings. I like the Lord of the Rings trilogy of movies, but I've never read The Hobbit. I've never read the Lord of the Rings novels. So, The Hobbit to me, what I enjoy most about it is just how well it fits with the rest of it, just based on this trailer. Like, the tone's the same, they're using some of the same sets, the visual style is very much the same, so it really does help to feel like a part of a big unified story. And I'm glad that Peter Jackson has returned to direct this, because for a while it was looking like he wouldn't direct this movie, and since he is back, you can tell it's got that similar feel to it. And Ian McKellen is back as Gandalf, which is great. The Hobbit, I know, is more of a pure adventure story than a dark story with kind of a big war going on like the Lord of the Rings trilogy was, but it is looking like it's going to be very fun, and I'm happy that it does look like it's going to fit very well and just flow right into the Lord of the Rings trilogy, something that I feel X-Men First Class didn't perfectly manage to do. It was a great movie in its own right, but I think that the Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit will fit better than the First Class movies and the original X-Men trilogy. So I am looking forward to seeing this, but it is going to be coming out next December, so we've got to wait like a whole year to see it. So excited to see the trailer, a little bit bummed that it's going to be so long before we get to see it. And then I think it's another year before the second part of it comes out. A new trailer for Underworld Awakening debuted this week, and it looks pretty cool. I must say, I enjoyed the first Underworld. I started the second one once, I believe, when it was late at night, so I got kind of tired and I never really finished it. And I never watched the prequel movie, not because I wasn't interested in really seeing these movies, but I just never got around to watching those. So, overall, I like Underworld. I'm not in love with the series, and I can't say I'm really hyped to see this movie. It looks pretty decent, and if I do watch the other two Underworld movies and I like them, then my interest in the movie will probably change and go up. But for now, I'm kind of interested in seeing it, not that interested in seeing it. There's also a new international trailer out for John Carter that shows some cool new action footage, and while I'm still not 100% sold on this movie, the action does look to be of pretty good quality, so it'll probably be enjoyable at the very least. Another thing that I noticed in this trailer is that they spent some more time showing the story of what's going on with John Carter's nephew, who is played by Daryl Sabera, aka Junie from Spy Kids. And they referred to him in the trailer as Mr. Burroughs, and I looked it up, and Daryl Sabera is playing Edgar Rice Burroughs, who is the author of the original John Carter books and the Tarzan books. So it would seem that in the story of the movie, Edgar Rice Burroughs is inspired by the story of what goes on with his uncle to write the actual John Carter books that the movie is based on. So that's kind of interesting. The last trailer that I wanted to talk about is Wrath of the Titans, the sequel to Clash of the Titans. And I think the question on everybody's mind is how the heck did Clash of the Titans get a sequel? Because it was pretty much a mediocre movie overall. And I think that's the general consensus. But Wrath of the Titans is looking pretty decent. The action and the visuals of the movie are looking pretty cool. They have switched out the director. The first one was directed by Louis Leterrier, and I liked his work on The Incredible Hulk, but Clash of the Titans was pretty mediocre, so it might have been a solid decision to switch out the director to somebody who might be better able to handle this specific material. And I think the new one is directed by Jonathan Liebesman. So Wrath of the Titans is looking pretty decent to me. One of the things I noticed, kind of random, but I feel like somebody can make a pretty cool animated trailer for this using clips from Disney's Hercules. Just the thing with the Titans and everything, Hercules talking to Zeus instead of Perseus talking to Zeus. But yeah, so if any video editors are out there and they want to make a cool animated trailer to this, please do it and send me a link. Marvel has finally chosen a director to replace Patty Jenkins on Thor 2. They've chosen Alan Taylor, whose works mainly include television programs such as Game of Thrones. And while I don't really know much about Alan Taylor, I am hoping that he does a good job with Thor 2. Thor 2, I'm really not sure what I want to see with that. But I do know that I'd like to see it take place mostly in like Asgard and the other realms instead of being mainly Earth-focused, because Thor, I felt, was very strong at the beginning, and it got better comedically when they went to Earth, but as far as the action and everything, and the visuals, it was much more interesting when they were on Asgard and then went to Jotunheim to fight the Frost Giants. So I think maybe journey through other realms for Thor 2 to make it a more fantasy-focused movie, maybe more inspired by Lord of the Rings or something like that, could be a very cool, interesting way to take Thor and make it a more distinct franchise than just a common superhero movie. The writer on the Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot has been fired, and it's looking like the project might not happen anymore. The Buffy reboot has met with a lot of rejection from the fans because no one involved in the production of the television series is involved in the production of the movie, most notably the creator Joss Whedon. So it's feeling like a lot of people like this is a cash-in and it's not going to feel right or like a proper addition to the franchise. And I've talked about this a little bit before. I can understand both sides. As someone who enjoys Buffy the Vampire Slayer, yeah, I can understand the feeling that nobody would want to see this happen if it's going to not feel like the Buffy that they enjoy to watch. But also, I can see how this would be good for the franchise if it was good and it generated new interest, new fans for the series, because it's not a series that's been done and is being continued in comic book form isn't really pulling in very many new fans or gaining new interest. So it continues and it has its hardcore fans who will continue to follow it. But to really breathe new life into it, I think something like a big theatrical release would be kind of necessary to bring about a resurgence in interest in this franchise. So ideally, I'd like to see something with Joss Whedon involved as at least a writer for this new Buffy movie if it happened. But if we can't get that, then I wouldn't be completely opposed to seeing a movie without Joss Whedon involved if he, well, as a writer, if he kind of was involved as a consultant maybe, because comic book movies don't always have the original writers involved to make them. And then you've got franchises like James Bond. James Bond changes a lot over the years and is constantly reinvented. Compare Daniel Craig's James Bond to Pierce Brosnan's. Very different franchises, but you've got fans who are able to enjoy the changes over the years. So maybe Buffy could see a change like that while not exactly like the original series, could be a different new version of the characters. So who knows, but it's looking like we won't see a new Buffy on screen for a while, so maybe that's a good thing. In big news for Zelda fans, an official timeline has been confirmed for the series. For those of you who don't know that much about Zelda, for the most part, each Zelda is pretty much a self-contained adventure, but it has been known for a while that all these games have been linked in one larger timeline that has a big series of events that just tie each game to each other. And they don't come out in order. Like the first game that was released in the series is not the first game in the order of the timeline. So it's kind of been a mystery that people have made theories about for years, how these games have been linked. And now they have given an official timeline that places each game in the proper order. And this timeline is kind of confusing if you don't know that much about the series, because there's time travel involved and the timeline splits into 3 different branches at one point. But it is interesting for people who have followed the series and know a little bit about what's going on. So check that out if you're a Zelda fan. Now for my final story, I want to talk to you about a movie called Frozen. Disney has confirmed that they are releasing an animated film called Frozen in November of 2013. For a while, this was thought to be the untitled dinosaur movie that Pixar is making, but now people are speculating that it is the long-in-development animated adaptation of Hans Christian Andersen's The Snow Queen. Hans Christian Andersen wrote The Little Mermaid, The Steadfast Tin Soldier, The Princess and the Pea, and several other well-known stories, so this would be a more traditional Disney movie in that sense. It's not known whether it will be hand-drawn or computer animated, but I'm betting that it'll probably be computer animated. People are speculating that the title Frozen is sort of like the title Tangled, which was used to tell the Rapunzel story in a more gender-neutral way that would be more likely to attract young boys who might not be interested in seeing a movie about a princess. So that could be what they're doing with Frozen and the Snow Queen, just giving it a more gender-neutral title there. So hopefully this movie, whatever it is, turns out to be good. That's really all I've got for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you saw, like, comment, please subscribe, and tune in next time.